there is a generosity to Indonesia. It's beautiful, it's gracious, it's complex. It is a complex place. It's interesting, palatable. You just don't find everywhere where I'm working with artisans.
Sekarang spesial banget nih, biasanya kan kita syuting ada di ruang podcast KJRI New York. Nah kali ini kita ada di luar.
We have a very special person, a trusted curator with more than 20 years of experience in the business, yaitu Ibu Jennifer Isaacson.
Welcome, Bu.
Thank you, my dear friends. Can you recommend somebody who works in Indonesia or understands the marketplace or has a history of working with artisans in developing product, and they recommended me. So that's how this friendship started. My hope is that they take the tools that we're giving them to create beautiful products with again, traditional technique, traditional materials, and have a visual place in the market, a competitive place in the marketplace, global marketplace that resonates the beauty and culture of Indonesia. Here we go.
Here we go. Cheers, Bu.
Cheers.
Cheers. Klepon cheers.
Halo Sobat KJRI New York, ketemu lagi di podcast Diamond,
Dialog Indonesia and America on Diplomacy.
Nah, seperti yang pemirsa bisa lihat, sekarang spesial banget nih. Biasanya kan kita syuting ada di ruang podcast KJRI New York. Nah, kali ini kita ada di luar.
Iya, kita tuh di Indonesia tahu.
Ngapain sih kita ada di Indonesia, di Jakarta ini?
Kita lagi di Jakarta untuk melakukan kurasi UMKM Kria yang nantinya akan KJRI New York bawa ke New York.
Kalau ngomongin kurasi UMKM gitu kan erat banget sama yang namanya kurator ya.
Betul. Kita miliknya bukan saya, bukan Antonio yang milih UMKM-nya untuk dibawa, tapi we have a very special person, a trusted curator with more than 20 years of experience in the business, yaitu Ibu Jennifer Isaacson.
Welcome, Bu.
Thank you, my dear friends, for facilitating this interview and for this wonderful trip, successful trip that we're having in Indonesia. So thank you.
Yes. Maybe before we start to converse, we have your favorite food, one of your favorite food from Indonesia, that is klepon.
Well, my number one favorite food that I'm waiting for the U.S. to discover is a sambal, which we could be called a salsa. I mean, everywhere they are just amazing, the variety of sambals. But next would be the klepon.
And
Please,
Bu. Oh, we have tissue.
just amazing. You bite into these and you get the texture, you get the splash of coconut syrup, and they are definitely one of the first things I look for when I come to Indonesia. So thank you.
You're welcome. Let's cheers, Bu, first before we start the podcast.
Here we go.
Here we go. Cheers, Bu.
Cheers.
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 Popon cheers. Ibu, if we may start.
Sure.
So Ibu Jennifer and the Consulate General of Indonesia in New York has been working together since 2016 to figure out Indonesian artisans that can be brought to New York to represent handmade artisans from Indonesia in New York. If we may ask, Bu, because we're the new kid on the block, how and why did you decide to start this project?
I can't take responsibility or ownership of the project. The project actually came out of the Indonesian consulate in 2016. I had my own retail stores. I had a furniture store, a cafe adjoining, a furniture store and a clothing store, and I had been in the marketplace as a buyer for a long time. And very early on, I realized that for my store to be unique, or my furniture store, or even my cafe, how I decorated my cafe, I would have to travel in country to produce products. So I basically started traveling the globe. I shopped for my store in Morocco, Mexico, Guatemala, Indonesia, India, China. And so I started to get a reputation as a designer, buyer. And so when Paquinado from the New York consulate approached New York, the administration of New York Now, which is so visionary to go to the source, because you really do have to have somebody with those fresh eyes or a Western eye to curate products in country, in a foreign country. So Paquinado went to the administration of New York Now and said, can you recommend somebody who works in Indonesia or understands the marketplace or has a history of working with artisans in developing product? And they recommended me. So that's how this friendship started in 2016.
It's a long friendship.
Yes.
It's a long friendship. But why you decided to say yes?
I said yes because I had done extensive work in Indonesia. I was also a buyer for a large retail company, and one of the countries that they assigned me as a buyer to was Indonesia. So I would come to Indonesia and spend probably more than 6 weeks here filling containers and developing products. Because of the length of time, I had small children at the time. My husband would come with our children. We took the kids to Sumatra to see orangutan reserves. So not only was I working directly and establishing relationships with Indonesian artisans, I was also learning about the culture and the country at the same time. So every time I left a little bit of my heart here in Indonesia.
So so Bu Jennifer has been Friends of Indonesia for a long time.
And also you've been working with the consulate and Indonesia especially, and you also work with another country like Mexico, one of them. And what do you think about Indonesian product itself? What makes it different with other countries?
Well, one of the premises and one of the most, what I think the consulate's mission statement, as well as my own over these years, I think the basic premise that we work with is traditional craft, traditional materials to create sustainable products for the marketplace. So Indonesia is just that kind of, I mean, the historic relationship that artisans have with craft and master craftsmanship, whether it's basketry or weaving, textile, indigo, dyeing. It's just, there's so much culture here and there's so much indigenous craft.
That's really great. So not only Ibu Jennifer is here to, like, you know, promote Indonesian export, like craft, handmade artisans export, but Ibu Jennifer also helped us to preserve our traditional heritage. So that's really great, Bu. Terima kasih. And as you mentioned, like a lot of Indonesian artisans, they're master of their crafts. But also, meanwhile they're being the master of their craft, they also don't know like how to set like the business side of it. So could you give us a little snippets, like probably your best advice for anyone who wants to start going international and promote their product?
Well, we do some of the aspects and the touch points from the seminars that we give are really, it's to figure out, I mean, there's just basic, wherever you work in the world. We've got the artisans need to, it's such a competitive field right now than when we originally started. And so they really need to understand who their customer is. Understand who their customer is, who they're selling to, how the lifestyle of how the product is going to be used, so that brings in the function of the product. Pricing is so important, and just to backtrack a little bit, what we do here through these workshops and coaching sessions is not for the small percentage of artisans that we are going to bring to New York or Europe. This is for local business skills and understanding of how to run your business, how to produce a quality product that everybody, all of the participants of our seminars need to know. So, but if we're talking about creating a product for the Western audience, so we've talked about design, function, understanding your customer. Number one is quality, teaching them and explaining to them, collaborating with them on how to, what the expectations of a U.S. buyer is for the quality of a product. Does the pricing match the quality? And sense of origin. Do I look at that product and see that it's from Indonesia? We want to preserve the heritage and have it exposed and recognizable in our products. So, because we are competing globally. So those are just a few of the hallmarks that we need to see in products. But understanding, having the tools to look, to see what's going on in other parts of the country. So we, you know, how to use your computer, and, you know, computer skills. There's a lot that goes into this program.
That's a lot of, like, you cannot be lazy.
Yes, yes, yes.
But there is a market for Indonesian product in the United States, book.
Absolutely, but because it is so competitive, we need to grow our product. We can't be just every year putting out the same product. So we really are looking for innovative designs, how to take these traditional techniques and traditional materials and come up with these beautiful standardized products that are perhaps a little bit more contemporary and do fit into our lifestyle in the United States.
So there's a lot that is going on. So jadi first, like, know your customer, and then also like know your business, your pricing, and be creative, be innovative, because there's a lot. There's a lot of competition in the market. It's so difficult, Bu.
And when you're working with artisans, just yesterday I had one of our artisans came up to me and said, Boo, I just paint. I paint a picture. So how do I price my product? And I mentioned, I said, well, how many hours does it take and your materials to paint? But she didn't realize that her time was her labor and her cost of labor in producing that product. So many times artisans don't know how to price their product because they don't know how to put a value on their time or what goes into pricing the product, which is so important. So that's just a baby step in us moving towards impacting the community financially, understanding how important social impact is to the customer in the United States, that they're producing their product ecologically, and how are their dyes recycled, what's the impact of resourcing their product. So we're really, it used to be that you could have a product, tell your story, but now there's so much more that goes into that story, and what's important to the U.S. consumer as far as a product that's, you know, going to satisfy the needs of a circular economy rather than just a product that's produced.
So it does take a lot of effort to export into the United States. Yeah. But you know, Ibu Jennifer has been teaching like since 2016, so it's probably more than 700 artisans from Indonesia. Ibu Jennifer has been teaching those things that she just mentioned.
Oh, I think it's more like one seminar, because it was simulcast with 600 artisans throughout the archipelago, all the way to Papua New Guinea, to Borneo. We were all throughout Indonesia. So I think we've reached probably thousands.
Oh, wow. So jadi kontribusi Bu Jennifer terhadap para artisan Indonesia itu udah banyak banget, udah 1000 lebih artisan yang diajarkan oleh Bu Jennifer, dikasih coaching, dikasih tips-tips bagaimana menembus pasar Amerika dan menyempurnakan produknya supaya cocok sama pasar Amerika. So Bu Jennifer is really a friend of Indonesia. Cocok banget untuk 75 tahun Indonesia.
It's not hard.
So yeah.
Okay. The last question from me, maybe, what is your hope for the artisans, Indonesian artisans, for the future ahead?
My hope is that they take the tools that we're giving them to create beautiful products with again, traditional technique, traditional materials, and have a visual place in the market, a competitive place in the marketplace, global marketplace that resonates the beauty and culture of Indonesia, and once back home has a economic impact as well as a global ecological impact and understanding on how to produce products for the future of our planet.
Yeah, that's really great. That's if everyone in Indonesia can do that, if every artisan is going on their way to do that, that would be very great, like really good. Well, I guess that was the last question, but also that is one thing that we do, like we ask every of our guests, each and every one of our guests, if you could describe probably Indonesia from your perspective in like 3 words, or like, or you can pick like 3 words or 1 sentence.
In a sentence.
Or in a sentence. Yeah. What would it be?
The words, and I don't know if this is going to be more than 3 words and probably not a sentence, but it's, you know, I had to think about it. There is a generosity to Indonesia. It's beautiful. It's gracious, which means not just the artwork and the people. I mean, the people are exceptional. It's complex. It is a complex place. It's interesting, but there is a palatable sense of pride and tradition that comes from the people when you're here working in Indonesia. That is, you just don't find everywhere where I'm working with artisans.
Wow, that's beautiful, Bu. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Ibu Jennifer.
Thank you.
For making the time, to do this trip. And like last year, I think last year we did this, this year we did this, and the year before since 2016. So thank you for all your time, all your effort, all your positive contribution to Indonesian artisans. We're so glad to have you as our friends of Indonesia.
But I have to thank you, Paquinado, the consulate, everybody, all the agencies we've worked through and have supported us over the years, because it's not just the artisans that we've reached, it's the agencies and the company who helps us facilitate these seminars in the United States. But really, this program that the consulate has put together is visionary, unique, and so amazing for the country of Indonesia. So thank you.
Itu tadi podcast kita bersama Ibu Jennifer. Sampai ketemu lagi di podcast Diamond berikutnya.